Hello, I'm Stefan from Xtreme Distribution. I will give you an insight into Flowworks, Flow Archive and the complete Flow Center ecosystem. Here on this slide, the complete ecosystem is shown. It consists from the Flow core. What is the database, the application server? This is where your content is managed and stored. There is one way to access the content with the so-called Flow Archive. That is the user interface that we'll see in a minute, where the content managers are organizing the content, the metadata, and are moving the assets through all the workflows. The Flow Rooms are kind of a subset of that. It's a kind of micro web page where certain people within your organization or outside the organization get access to the same content, but with a limited possibilities. So for instance, someone who is asked to upload content gets an upload web page. Someone who's asked to do approval, he gets all the clips to approve, and he has like two buttons, good or bad. And if he decides it's not good, then he can send a command, what shall be changed. At the end of the day, you probably want to download. Again, you have a web page that you send out to present the content for download, for screening, even for sales and more. On the right-hand side, we see the so-called Playout. Playout is an integrated website. You could imagine like a video-on-demand web page where the content from the system is made accessible to the public. Typically, we split that on two systems. One is in your secure environment and the other one is exposed to the outside. But they are acting as one, and this makes the system that efficient. In other cases, content shall be externalized because there's probably another platform or content partner that you want to share the content with, or you have to move it from and to other production systems or archive systems. For this, we have the so-called deliveries. That packages and wraps all the content that is in the archive and moves it out. And all these processes are managed and performed by the so-called device and workflow manager. Device Manager connects to all the third parties, and the Workflow Manager orchestrates the workflows on top of that devices. And the workflows are driven by the interaction of the human operator with the various user interfaces as just spoke about. Now, let's move over, and I'd like to show you the software in real life. Here I'm connected to one of our Flow centers with the Flow Archive user interface. When I log on, I will get always access to the latest content. That's the standard view. And here in this particular case, I've selected only to see videos. Let's say I'm also interested in pictures. And I do a refresh, and that gives me some more pictures. So typically, there are two main tasks that you do in the archive. You manage the archive, and afterwards you browse the archive if you want to access content there. Let's start with the accessing. There are different ways. One is we have a full text search. Let's say we are searching for test content, shows us these videos. Or we have the advanced search that gives us this pop-up dialog. And here, all the metadata fields from the system that I've selected for this advanced search are exposed. This difference from system to system. Every customer has his own specific metadata set. Here we look after a state, a title, description, keywords, production dates, a producer, publishing dates and places and this and that. And we've searched already earlier for the buzzword test. Now this gives me access to some videos, and now let's say I'm interested in this Beetle car. That is a video, I can play it. Depending on my rights and role, I have access to this trimming symbols and the scissors symbol. Trimming is shortening the clip, scissors is simply creating a subclip. And there's this picture creation button here that allows me to create new thumbnails. So let's say I want to do one here that will create me a new thumbnail. On the right-hand side, there's always the most important metadata shown and the most important action buttons. Here in this system, we have a built-in storage manager that moves the content between the online storage, the offline storage, and even the tapes or other locations where another flow center is placed. If you scroll down, we get the related metadata about the production, the rights, the approval, the distribution, the history of what happens to the content, and even some AI that is used to create additional metadata or subtitles, a transcript, is searching for objects, or here in our case is running an upscaler, so AI-driven video processing. The command section is interesting if you interact with the system across groups, because then all the interaction and the commands are stored here. The media files is the place where we store the master video and the browsing copy and every other file that is derived from there. This is pictures, trailers, subtitles, artwork, so like cinema placard, the thumbnails, but also related documents like the original script, the cast list, the rights documentation, and many, many things more. The last here in that vertical list is the related content. Imagine a movie can be related with its trailer, because the trailer itself is an asset, so that way you store the relation. Now, as you can see here, we can download that assets, we can edit them. Edit means we are editing the metadata. Downloading is typically creating us a download of the MP4 or the master copy. That depends on what is orchestrated in the system, what I may access. But that's not all. The so-called working bench, the action area, is something that I've hidden so far. It's on the left-hand side. And here, the content can get organized in projects, can get exchanged via rooms, and can get delivered out or published via workflows. Now, how does that work? In a project, for instance, I can have a sub-project, and as you can see here, this project belongs to me. This is what the symbol says. And there's another sub-project that belongs to a group of people. Content is moved in with drag and drop. With a double click, I can get access to the same look and feel that I had earlier. But I have more possibilities here what to do with that. So I can say I want to move that content from this project to another project. I want to move it over to a room. I want to get back from a room. I want to distribute it. So the project is kind of a container, a bucket, where I collect content and then I drive a process, a workflow. It's more than just a shopping cart, because typically with such a folder, we have a dedicated workflow connected. A little bit further down, we have the rooms. And the idea of the rooms is to interact with people. I've just opened one of those, and there's just one clip in, but that does not matter. Here on the right-hand side, I can get the information about the metadata about this room. When I press the editing button, I can see I can ask someone to log in, or I can make this room to be an approval room, or one where I can send a command. It can have a subject that is relevant when I send out an invitation via an email. And that invitation is sent out with the share button, either automatically from the backend. Here I'm opening it manually to show you what such a room would look like. So, as said, there's just one clip in, and for that reason we can get access to this one, and we see the metadata that goes along with it. And as this is an upload room, I can send back something. So I could say, please watch this movie. It is for subtitling purposes sent to you. Create the subtitle, and once you have it, please upload it. But please send me some more metadata about it. Tell me what you have done to it. Now, because this is a room that is related to an asset, this upload will automatically snap into the original asset. And that way, the new subtitle is automatically matched and connected with the video. The same applies to audio versioning, audio clips. All the way down, we have the workflows. Typically, there's again content in a workflow, but the idea is that with a drag and drop, you move the content on here, and this is now triggering an automatic workflow. So that is, workflow is configured in the backend with a graphical workflow editor. And with this drag and drop, I've now moved the content from that system to a system that sits in the cloud. Or I can do a publishing tool, in this case, like Netflix or Vimeo or YouTube. I can send it to an editing system. I can drive workflows in my post-production or publishing environment. So this is the basic functionality of Flow Center. If you are interested in more, please have a look on our website or make contact with us. We are happy to have a remote session with you to show you even more insights of Flowworks Flow Center.